What if everything that you believed you knew about sister wives was an illusion behind the cameras? There is so much more happening in this polygamous home than anyone could ever dream of while fans have been glued to the screen, addicted to the drama between Kody and his wives. There are darker battles occurring behind closed doors, battles that no one prepared us for. It's not all about jealousy. It's not nearly all love triangles. It's about betrayal, manipulation, and the unspoken emotional toll this family is still paying. Season after season, as we watch the Browns struggle to hold it all together, what we're not being shown is the hurt, the emotional struggle, and the strained relationships that will never be repaired. The truth, the real drama goes much deeper than what we're seeing. So, what are the unseen truths? What occurs when the wives cease faking for the cameras and bring their most raw, most painful moments along with them? Stay tuned because we're about to reveal what the Browns have been attempting to conceal from the world. Prepare yourselves for the revealing facts that have been in the works for decades. Hey everyone, it's Aria here, and welcome to TLC's Next Reveal. If you're a fanatic Sister Wives fan, you're in the right place. My channel is committed to breaking down the drama, revealing secrets, and showing you behind the scenes of the real world of everything the Browns are really experiencing, besides what they watch on TV. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss a saucy update. And also don't forget to thumbs up this video. If you're enjoying the inside scoop, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What do you guys think of the latest twist? Sister Wives has been a roller coaster from day one, hasn't it? Watching the Browns navigate their untraditional family dynamics has taken us on a ride of every kind of feeling, from heartbreak to absolute fury, to bursts of happiness and triumph. It's a show that's so from just reality TV. It's a look at the complexities of love, loyalty, and power struggles in a family. But under the surface melodrama, there's a richer story about autonomy, betrayal, and the choices that shape each of the wives' lives. Take this Mary's catfishing scandal, where she was duped by someone who was posing as a man who was apparently interested in her, seemed like the beginning of a larger unraveling. It was one of those moments that shook all of us. You could see Mary, the tough, stoic wife, attempting to hold on to her sense of self-worth as her marriage to Kody began to break. That was only the start of the breaks. Then there's Christine. Oh, Christine, her ride has been agonizing. To watch from her sense of being underappreciated, to her brave decision to leave Kody. She showed all of us what it means to choose your own happiness over a family dynamics that no longer work for you. Her pain and courage have spoken volumes. And then there's Robin, forever caught in the middle of it all. Her arrival into the family was like turning a new page, but also a trigger for so many unfinished issues that had been simmering underneath the surface. As the preferred wife, Robin's presence in Kody's life only serves to exacerbate the cracks that already exist in each of these women's lives. Another layer is added to the constant drama. But now that we're entering the newest season, the stakes are higher than ever before. Relationships are about to implode. Emotions are running unchecked, and there's a palpable tension hanging in the air. What's currently going on isn't about Kody's decisions. It's about a family who've been forced to confront the truth about their existence, their decisions, and the going sacrifices. Their decisions. Will the Brown household ever be the same? How will all of the wives continue and move forward on rebuilding their futures? We're just about to leap into everything, so sit back tight. This is where things get hottest. Mary's story is one of the most heart-wrenching, but also convoluted in the sister wives drama. Over the years, we've seen her try and fail to make her relationships work with both Kody and the other wives. But what is most tragic is the emotional toll that her attempts have exacted from the outside. Mary seemed like the individual who was holding everything together. She was the individual who appeared calm and level-headed and dedicated to her family. But as we unraveled the layers of her past, we found a woman who was sinking under loneliness, betrayal, and heartbreak. Let's start with catfishing scandal, a moment that rocked Mary to her very core. She'd been craving emotional connection for someone to pay attention to her, to give her love, something things that had been lacking in her marriage to Kody. All this while, she was vulnerable, and in that instance, a manipulative individual took advantage of vulnerability. Mary felt that she had met someone who understood her for real, someone who could give her the love that she so craved. But it was all deceitful when the reality came out that she had been manipulated by a catfish. The betrayal had not been done by the person who was actually behind the scam. It was just like all the people who were around her had betrayed her, but the emotional distance that started to develop with Mary was not just after the catfishing, it was a slow awareness, a slow burning one, that she was never fulfilling her needs from the family. Her relationship with Kody was becoming and more tense, but so were her relationships with the other wives. There was always a subtext of tension between Mary and the other women, especially with Robin. While the family dynamics were strained, the arrival of Robin as Kody's new favorite wife seemed to push Mary further into a corner. Robin's presence within the family made Mary feel even more on the periphery, more insignificant, and it only worked to intensify her emotional isolation. In her quieter moments, Mary has frequently questioned her place within the family. It's been heartbreaking to witness her wrestle with the idea that maybe, just maybe, she had been holding on to something that never would be anything she had wanted. She was the first wife, but that term seemed to matter less and less over time. Initially, she seemed to wield the most control in the union, but as Kody's attention shifted towards the other wives, most notably, Robin, Mary began to get pulled further and further out. And the harder she fought to impose the relationship on Kody, the more remote she became. It's like she had become a shadow in the family, an impersonal presence nobody really seemed to be interested in. And that awareness hit home. Mary's life over the years has been filled with emotional strife and personal turmoil. Her attempts to maintain work have always seemed to be pleas in the wilderness, to be seen and loved, but only served to serve as a backdrop for how little she's been noticed, watching her struggle to maintain her place, to cling to a family that somehow no longer needs her, has been one of the hardest things to watch on Sister Wives. Seeing the loneliness, the pain, and ongoing struggle to feel valued in a family that has seemingly moved on without her, it's enough to break anyone's spirit. Mary is left to grapple with her place in a family that doesn't seem to see her the way it once did, and in many ways, that emotional struggle is at the heart of her journey. Unable to see a way to carry on, when the past has broken her so emotionally, it's a tragedy to see Mary's life unfold, especially knowing how hard she fought for this family and how little she received in return. We've seen her fight to become the woman she used to be. But with time passing, we can't help but wonder, has she been battling for the right reason all along? Will she ever find the emotional attachment and fulfillment she so deeply desires? Only time will tell. But Mary's emotional path is far from over. Christine's journey throughout the years of Sister Wives has been nothing less than life-altering for years. She remained by Kody's side, accepting her place within the family structure and doing all she might have made a great wife and mother. But she was always something inside of her, telling her she was worth more. The struggle to balance her desires with her role in a polygamous marriage was something that weighed heavily upon her. And as the years passed, it became clear that the fractures in her marriage to Kody were too deep to repair. Christine's realization that she was worthy of more than what she received in her marriage didn't all come at the same time. It was a slow and painful one, one in which she realized how much she had been giving up for a family that at times seemed more like a burden than a blessing. For years, she had convinced herself the family arrangement, Kody's love, attention, and divided time was enough. But as the years passed by, the reality became unmistakable. She was in the position of having her emotional needs repeatedly ignored. It wasn't just Kody's divided attention between two wives, it was the absence of closeness, the lack of genuine connection, and the constant feeling of being ignored that wore down Christine the final straw, as we witnessed all come to fruition in the series, when she came to realize that no matter how much she sacrificed, she was not going to get what she required back. She was sacrificing all her love, her patience, her time, and Kody still was not there for her. Emotionally, the way she needed him to be. She was not just his wife. She was a mother, a partner, and someone who was deserving of mutual respect and love. But after years of being unappreciated, she finally hit the sneaky realization that this was never going to change. Christine's building frustrations were apparent to anyone who paid attention. There were the quiet moments of resentment, the emotional barriers she built, and the constant implications that she wasn't happy. And then came the moment when she'd had enough. She made the life-changing decision to leave Kody and build a future that was all her own. This decision wasn't easy. It wasn't solely about Kody. It was leaving behind a life she had so much of herself wrapped up in. Her emotional toll was immense, and there were moments of profound sadness and grief, leaving Kody involved, ripping apart her entire life and preparing herself for a future of unknowns. But the element that made Christine's decision so empowering was the manner in which she was able to finally take back control of her own life. For the first time in years, she put herself first. She had waited on others so much of her life, her family, her husband, the other wives, and she had lost herself along the way. But in that moment of decision when she chose to leave, she was no longer sacrificing her happiness for the sake of other individuals she had selected for herself. And that had been a very emancipating decision, though one that came at the expense of her marriage and her place in the family. Her exit shocked the family, and there were conflicting responses. Kody, of course, was upset and confused. After all, he had never fantasized Christine would leave him. He still clung to the expectation that their family somehow succeeded in overcoming their issues. But the truth was, he never ever comprehended Christine's suffering until it was too late. The other wives, too, had their own reactions. Some were pro and some seemed to feel a sense of loss or disorientation. But Christine's decision was not simply a case of her marriage to Kody. It was about being her own person and defining her own happiness. It was about no longer being defined by a relationship that had failed to sustain. Her viewers of Sister Wives had complicated responses to Christine's decision as well. Some were extremely supportive, seeing it as a very long overdue act of self-love and self-care. Others, though, were critical, questioning if she had made the correct decision. It's a credit to the manner in which Sister Wives has explored the subtleties of polygamy and the emotional subtleties of the relationships within the Brown family. Fans saw Christine's path as a reflection of her growth, a woman who for years had put her needs on the back burner, but in the end decided to come into the light and demand the respect and love she deserved. The emotional price of abandoning Kody and the family was inevitable. There were tears, moments of uncertainty, and sometimes even a sense of loss. But what was striking about Christine's journey was that she finally gained confidence in her choice. It wasn't anger or bitterness. It was about giving herself permission to leave behind something that no longer served her. In leaving, she showed herself and all of us that sometimes the most empowering decision we can make is to walk away from what is holding us back. Christine's departure from Kody was a turning point in a profound way, not just for her, but for viewers who have been along with her journey. It was the moment Christine ceased waiting to be validated by others and instead started validating herself. It was her move towards reclaiming her life, her dignity, and her happiness. It might have hurt back then, but ultimately it was the most empowering choice she ever made. Kody Brown's conduct on Sister Wives has drawn eyebrows and initiated numerous arguments between the fans. The image he originally portrayed as a loving father and husband has been broken throughout the years, exposing a man whose attitudes and actions have caused a great deal of more harm than good to his family. At the root of the dysfunction that runs through the Brown family is Kody's need for control. The power struggles he imposes, coupled with his emotional manipulation, has been responsible for the dysfunctional relationships with all of his wives. One of the most glaring issues is Kody's apparent need to control every aspect of the family, from dictating when and how the wives can interact with him, to making unilateral decisions about family life. Kody's need for control often borders on oppressive. He doesn't just want to be the head of the household in a classic sense. He wants to be the absolute ruler, the one who makes all the decisions. This authoritarian approach has created a tense and poisonous environment where the wives feel more like his subordinates than his equals. Kody's contradictions are some of the most infuriating things about his behavior. He always blames the wives for not being together or supportive enough, as if their breakdown in relationship is their fault, but he always undermines their attempts at being a single family unit. Kody demands loyalty, respect, and unity from his wives, but never shows the same to them. His favoritism nature only makes matters worse. There's no denying the fact that Kody's favoritism is an ever-present source of conflict. Whether it's his favoritism of Robin or his emotional detachment from the other wives, it's clear that his selective attention has eroded the foundation of trust in the family. Take, for example, his relationship with Mera for years. Kody has made it painfully clear that he doesn't prioritize her emotional needs. The infamous catfishing scandal, which nearly destroyed Mera, is a stark reminder of Kody's failure to give her, with the support she so desperately required, rather than comfort and reassurance. When Mera was low, Kody drew back further. His lack of emotional presence left Mera feeling even more isolated, and his actions, or lack thereof, contributed to the hurt and betrayal she was already feeling. Kody's dynamic with Christine has also been equally revealing. Christine has been open about the emotional abandonment she felt from Kody, especially in seasons later on. Kody's refusal to believe her hurt, both in their marriage as well as a mother to her children, is evident in a straightforward way. His inability to understand the emotional needs of his wives instead of focusing on Christine's concerns. He would often dismiss her feelings, compelling her to suppress her own feelings for the sake of keeping peace in the family over time. This resulted in Christine's increasing frustration and ultimately her decision to leave him. Kody never ever seemed to grasp the depth of Christine's despair until it was too late. More proof of just how disconnected he had become from his wife's mental well-being. Robin, in contrast, seemed to have Kody's total focus, which only intensified the perception of favoritism. Kody has long been candid regarding his deep affection for Robin, and while it's clear he's particularly close with her, it's created an unofficial distance amongst the wives. His public favoritism towards Robin has provoked resentment from the other wives, particularly Meri and Janelle, who've expressed their anger over being excluded from compared Kody's condescending behavior towards the needs of the other wives at the expense of Robin has perpetuated a divide that grows with each season. Kody's behavior has not just been about emotional abandonment, there's also been a consistent pattern of emotional manipulation. He has a tendency to frame situations in a way that makes it seem like the wives are the aggressors, building a narrative where he is the victim. He manipulates the situation by playing the martyr, telling Kody he's doing the best he can to keep things together, while the wives just aren't having any luck. Helping his disrespect for their individual wants and needs produces an unhealthy family dynamic in which both wives feel less of a partner and more of a nuisance to Kody's idealized vision of what their family should be. In some of the most indicative scenes of the series, Kody's reaction to conflict is to dismiss or invalidate his wife's input rather than to work through problems with empathy or with openness. He resorts to passive-aggressive behaviors or shuts down altogether. This creates a pattern where the wives feel silenced and unvalued, which leads to emotional exhaustion and further disconnect from Kody. The contradiction in himself is infuriating. He wants to stay in control of the family, but lacks the emotional intelligence to lead in a way that fosters respect and understanding, as opposed to being the stern, loving authority figure he claims to be. Kody often comes across as manipulative, selfish, and emotionally unavailable. The result is a highly fragmented family where the wives, in particular Mary, Christine, and Janelle, are left to figure out their emotional needs and issues. With little help from Kody, his failure to prioritize their well-being has ultimately led to the deterioration of many of these relationships. The toll on the wives is undeniable, and it's hard to envision Kody continuing to play the victim as his behavior has caused so much pain at the core of it all. Kody's obsession with control and inability to meet his wife's emotional needs have been the central thrust for the dysfunctional family. His inconsistencies and manipulations have inflicted unrepairable damage, creating a venomous climate wherein love and respect are an endangered species ultimately. It is evident that Kody's behavior has not only ended his marriages, but has also impacted his family in ways that will be felt for years to come. The complex sister dynamics between the wives of Kody Brown have been one of the most interesting and dramatic elements of Sister Wives. What appeared initially to be a unified sisterhood based on the shared belief in plural marriage has slowly waned over the seasons as they went along. Tension, rivalry, and jealousy between the wives have become impossible to ignore. The tale of a sisterhood has turned into a tale of shifting allegiances, simmering resentment, and emotional angst. This undertone of discord doesn't just threaten their relationships with Kody, it's starting to tear at the very fabric of the family itself. One of the most concrete tensions has always been between Mary and Christine. Years ago, the two have never seen eye to eye. Mary, the first wife, was lonely and unimport, very much, especially since her emotional infidelity with the catfish fiasco, where Kody failed to rectify properly the situation. Christine otherwise always had no issue being louder and more assertive of her complaints, especially regarding how she feels Kody is often with her, and with satisfying her emotional needs. The space between them has grown wider because each of the wives is dealing with issues of her own frustration and problems in her marriage to Kody. Their former stable relationship has deteriorated into passive-aggressive comments and episodes of tension, creating an increasingly toxic environment. When they are together, Christine's departure only makes the gap larger because she had already determined to leave the family. Her departure wasn't an individual decision. It was a symbol of the dissolution of the idealized plural marriage that Kody and the wives had been trying to maintain. Christine's decision left a void, and while Kody was likely heartbroken for some of the wives, it was a relief. Janelle, in particular, appeared determined by her loyalty to Kody and her understanding of Christine's decision to leave. In many ways, Janelle found herself the peacekeeper, trying to maintain her bond with Kody, while sustaining the increasingly evident separation between the wives. Her job became more difficult as she found herself forced to take sides with one or the other. In a visibly disintegrating family, jealousy is another strong prompter that drives the wedge between the wives. It may have started as a healthy, if uncomfortable, aspect of plural marriage, but recently it has strengthened. Kody's blatant partiality toward Robin has undoubtedly heightened the anger of the other wives. The fact that Kody seems to privilege Robin emotionally and in practice has been the source of sustained frustration for Mary Christine and Janelle. The complaint sotto voce is hard to avoid. They all feel neglected, whether it's because Kody puts more hours in on Robin or because her children hold a privileged place within family life. The wives' anger is not merely towards Kody, it is towards each other because they are part of a family in which a wife consistently feels superior to the other woman. How this is taking an emotional toll on the wives is one that is drama, for each one of them struggles to be heard and valued. Mary, who has ever remained loyal to Kody, seems to have been left behind in the eyes of her sister wives. Her persistent attempts to repair her marriage have been ignored by Kody, and this leaves her with little support from the other wives. Meanwhile, Christine's decision to depart was an epiphany moment of her necessity for personal happiness and satisfaction, something Kody was incapable of providing her. She knew she deserved better than the emotional neglect she was receiving, but it didn't come without pain. Her departure was proof of how much she had been emotionally drained from trying to keep up the image of a happy family, when in reality, her relationship with Kody had frayed beyond mending. Janelle, while often stuck in the middle too, has trouble feeling admired. She has been around the family long enough, but her emotional toll and contribution take a back seat in the wake of Kody's growing preoccupation with Robin. Janelle's or unspoken aggravation is evident, and her personal struggle to reconcile her affection for Kody with the grim reality of the dysfunctional family is heart-wrenching. She becomes more outspoken of her discontent later in the series, and it's clear she's no longer compliant to just along with things as they are. But she is also hesitant to speak up too much, especially about the sensitive relationships with the other wives. What was initially proposed as a plural marriage, based on cooperation, trust, and respect for one another, has become battlefield. Each wife in her own way has tried to find her place in a family that no more and more no longer functions the way it was originally created. The battle to be heard, visible, and valued by Kody, and also by each other, has left deep emotional wounds. These wounds are not just constructed by Kody's actions, they're also powered by the covert competition that lies between the wives. Their shared struggles have, through time, become a shattered tapestry of pain, feelings, jealousy, and unspoken grievances. The lack of real sisterhood is a painful truth for the Brown family, and not an impenetrable facade. The wives compete against one another for Kody's attention and validation, leading to insecurity and resentment. The program has long portrayed them as a sister wives household, but the truth is, this idealized picture collapsed ages ago. In its place is a damaged family where each woman is fighting not only for the love of her husband, but for her own dignity in a situation that demeans her. It is sad to witness the psychological trauma which this family arrangement has brought upon each one of them. The impact of the family arrangements upon the Brown children is inevitable not to see, especially as they continue to age and begin to form their own opinions regarding the polygamous lifestyle that they've been raised in during the seasons of Sister Wives. We've gotten a glimpse of the children's lives, and their thoughts offer a fascinating lens by which we can view the lasting influence of their youth as the children have grown up. Some of them have begun to speak out for the first time about their feelings towards the family situation. Peyton Brown, one of Kody and Christine's children, has been particularly vocal in recent years. He has been especially forthcoming about how he has struggled with the lifestyle, offering a raw and unglamorized view of how the polygamous family dynamic has affected his values. Regarding families and relationships, Peyton has publicly discussed how polygamy has impacted his parents, specifically how much emotional strain it's taken on his mom. He has also talked about how the constant turmoil in the home has affected him personally, and how it has eroded his own sense of stability, reveal his willingness in interviews and on social media shows. A side of the family we don't see very often, the emotional cost of being brought up in a family, where the core relationships are broken and shifting as we wrap up this emotional roller coaster through the sister wives drama. It's clear that Kody's decisions and the emotional journeys of the wives have forever changed the course of this family story. From Christine's brave move to reclaim her happiness to the irremediable fractures in Kody's relationships, it is evident that the Brown family is going through irreparable changes. But what do you think? Can any of these relationships be salvaged, or has the damage gone too far? Let me know your comments below with your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth looks into sister wives. Thanks for watching.